longevity is definitely the chatter right now, but it's really important. I think people, even with some of the uncertainty in the economy, and it continues to go back and forth, I think people still want to be smart with their money, right? It's not just loosey-goosey spend on whatever we want and go invest because it's hot. There's still a lot of due diligence happening. I like that. It's disciplined investing.
This is All Things Fitness and Wellness, hosted by Chrissy Van. Together, we're uniting industry thought leaders and fitfluencers on the mission to inspire innovation and encourage people to live a life fit and well. Longevity may be the buzzword in fitness right now, but beneath the hype, smart money is moving with discipline. Whether you're preparing for a capital raise or exploring franchising as a growth strategy, the fundamentals matter more than ever. On today's episode of the ATFW Podcast, I'm joined by Albert Ramos, Fractional CFO at Stratego and CEO at ValiSights. He's also a fellow podcaster. On this episode, he's going to share what operators need to have in place before approaching investors, why disciplined preparation is critical, how franchising can open doors, and even lift the lid on a public capital raise that he's currently involved with. But before we get to the podcast, be sure to hit like and subscribe. We have new episodes weekly featuring industry thought leaders and influencers. I'm your host, Chrissy Van, and this is ATFW. Albert joining me here on ATFW, and I'm so pleased because, like many things in this industry, we're a tight-knit crowd. We tend to hang out most of the year on LinkedIn, and sometimes that leads to the little DM and a conversation. It's one of the best things that I love about networking. So first of all, Albert, thank you so much for reaching out to me, and I'm really excited to dive in today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I've been following your podcast and everyone that you've had on the show, as well as just how connected you are. As I've told you before, you have a great reputation. So looking forward to chatting with you. Thank you.
Well, and one of the things about you, Albert, obviously your expertise is very much in the finance space. And as I kind of teed up in the intro there, we know that there's a lot of individuals that are in the franchise model. There's a lot of people that are looking to scale their businesses, but we often either talk about pre or post, but never necessarily in the messy middle of it all. And that's kind of what we're going to have the opportunity to do today.
Right.
But I want to learn a little bit more about yourself because we hopped on this call, and yes, you can hop on LinkedIn, read about someone, check out a website, but then you get chatting and realize you have all these idiosyncrasies of how your worlds have collided in different ways. One of ours was in the broadcasting space.
That's right.
You ended up working with HGTV at some point.
That's right. Yeah. So I have a little bit of the entertainment industry in I call it in my history, as well as the wellness and fitness side. I worked for a show called Extreme Makeover Home Edition, and had some fun, being from Southern California, get an opportunity to be in a different casting opportunity. So Family Feud and MTV. And so that was a ton of fun. And I saw your background. I'm like, wow, super impressive. Because I know it's hard.
No.
It's a hard business.
It is. It's hard. And honestly, I'm just glad because of how it's evolved. It ultimately translated here to the passion that we both have in fitness and wellness space and the B2B conversations. And today is one that matters. So I teed it up there that we're going to actually be talking through an actual business case that you're living right now. So before we get into the nitty gritty of the questions of how this all operates, maybe give a little bit of the backstory like you had provided for myself.
Yeah, so very exciting. I'm actually helping and supporting on a fractional basis, a fractional CFO basis, with an organization and wellness brand called Alchemize House. You got to check out the co-founders, Dana Head, as well as Raven Reed. They're so amazing. And just to see what they've been able to do with their proof of concept out in Sayulita, Mexico, and then now their intro into the Los Angeles market, Los Angeles, California. And so we just publicly, not privately, but publicly announced our journey for the seed round. And so we're looking to raise, it's a target of 4 mil. And so we're really excited. We have a lot of buzz going on right now. So excited to chat about that, as well as everything else that the audience will love.
Without question. Well, and the big thing that we'll dig into is that decision to do this publicly versus privately and what goes into it. But let's start with some of the basics here, because we know we have a lot of operators in the position right now with this momentum that we're seeing in the industry. There's a lot of capital appetite. So if they're in a growth position, they're wanting to grow. So if you're a hospitality or wellness business that's looking to scale, what are the first signals that franchising could even be the right model to pursue?
Yeah, and let me preface this by also saying that my background's not only in finance, but I've been an operator in the fitness and wellness space for 16 years. And so a lot of these things, operations and finance, go hand in hand. And in this franchising world, some of the things that you want to take a look at specifically is your four-wall EBITDA. I like to break down the margins from cost of goods sold and your flow through all the way down to your four-wall EBITDA. And there's some chatter, some like 15 cents, 20 cents on the dollar. Typically, and I know investors, especially private equity, and there's a lot of rolling up going on.
Mhm.
They're looking at 20 to 30 cents on the dollar when it comes to your four-wall EBITDA. So that's one of the things. And then as you build your financial model pro forma, right, and you're thinking about multiple units, you want to look at your payback period. That's another question or piece of due diligence that will come up as you're thinking about rolling this out or potentially raising some type of funds to get franchising going, multiple units. And so that payback period being no more than 24 months is what I see, right? And then going into your lifetime value to CAC, right? Your customer acquisition costs, that's super important. And so there's a lot of chatter out there. I like using like a 3 to 4 time or to 1 to 4, 1 to 3 time ratio on that. It's super important to understand what is your lifetime value of your member base, right? The subscription, reoccurring, MRR, ARR revenue. You've got to take a look at that. And then finally, outside of the break even from square foot, the big one for me is that average revenue per member. Is that growing? Is it healthy? Is there more room to grow? I always take a look at those unit economics, those KPIs, to make sure, okay, how is the health, the state of the business looking? Now, can we take this single unit and replicate it out?
When someone is looking to scale their business in that fashion through a franchise model, another essential is your systems and your processes. They
Mm-hmm.
need to be so dialed in because you're looking to replicate an experience out of a flagship location that ultimately has been hopefully a successful model for you, or
Right.
else you may want to entertain whether you're wanting to expand at all or if you're at that point. So, what operational systems or processes need to be in place before a brand can expand beyond one flagship? And you spoke in the intro there. You have a real life example here with Alchemize with their location in Sayulita. Obviously, they hit a point where they realized there could be a little bit more to their story.
Right. And so one of the first things that I do in this specific case with Alchemize House is I lift up the hood. I'm looking at their tech stack, right? Whether it be from a team member platform all the way through their finance back office platform, and then of course their customer experience platform. And so when we're taking a look, we're looking at accounting and finance. What does that look like? Is it cloud-based? Is it QBO? Do you have integrations with things like Bill.com or Ramp, right? Or ValiSights or what have you? Are there any areas of opportunity for any API integrations to smoothen things out? And then I look at your point of sale, payments and CRM system, sales and customer service. And what do those look like? Do we have to unravel some legacy in order to do multi-unit franchising? Or is this something that can be used as centralized for your entire portfolio? So those are some of the things I look at. And then on the people front, right? Is it a Workday? Is it a Gusto? Is it Rippling? Is it something else that could help on the team member? And there's a lot of tools out there, by the way, and I know I'm ripping them out right now, but I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. One, they don't think about how can we replicate these systems, this financial platform. But then two, which one should we select? And I'm hearing a lot of that chatter. So many tools out there, and with the introduction of AI and AI features, people are starting to get a little stuck there on what do I choose. And so I was really excited about not only what I saw at Alchemize House, but then what we're doing to upgrade, as well as the use of funds. And I know we'll talk about capital raising, but there's also a plan, a roadmap on, well, this is when we get these funds at this milestone, this is what we're going to integrate. Here's what we're going to roll out.
Yeah, and you bring up such a fair point. I mean, the tech stack is more essential than ever, and
Right.
you're able to streamline so much of your operations more than ever, which can really help. I mean, you're a finance guy, so you know your bottom line when it comes to how you're staffing, where can we mitigate costs that way. However, because of the rise of AI, there's a lot of really exceptional tools that are hitting the market, changing the game. And then at the same time, I think with the race for companies to get out there to have a tech offering. There's a
Right.
lot of noise to sift through if you're an operator. And unfortunately, there are some bad actors as well playing in the space. So it's really important to, seek out the right experts to help provide guidance if you need it on that front. But the ultimate goal, if there's someone is expanding, is founders need to prepare to raise outside capital. So what are
Right.
some of the financial realities they should anticipate? Because I'm sure you've dealt with some that think we're ready, we're good to go.
That's
And
right.
then you kind of have to be the one that gives that reality check of this is actually what this experience looks like and what we need to bring to the table. So talk me through that.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I've had every different type of conversation, every possible conversation that can be had when raising capital, and I say lift up the hood, when others are lifting up the hood to your own business and the due diligence process, I would say be prepared and know your business. And what I mean by that is, do you have a financial model, a pro forma, or any type of scenario-based sensitivity models baked in? Because in a lot of ways, investors, as you're raising capital, want to know, well, if this doesn't happen, what happens if X happens, or what happens if Y happens? And if you don't have an answer to that, that's not good. And I always say time kills deals, and time kills. When you extend that time, it also prevents you from raising that capital that you probably really need. And so I look at things like a 3-statement model. How does the income, balance sheet, and cash flow statement intertwine? We mentioned it earlier. I think it's really important that you have and you really know your unit economics over the next 3 to 5 years. I always say 5 years, but in some cases, depending on what your starting point is and how long you've had your single unit or proof of concept, 3 years sometimes is enough. But I really like to play with 5 years and just extend that lookout, including on the cash flow side. So forecasting it out, and if you have any type of bank relations or any type of debt vehicles or line of credit or loans, I know a lot in the franchising space, we play a lot with SBA loans or what have you. So that is really important. And then finally is the multiples, right? So when all is said and done, when you bake out your model, your business dashboard, your unit economics, and your key assumptions, investors want to not only make their money back, but they want to make a gain on that money. And so what does that exit strategy look like in the next 5 years, 7 years, and 10 years? And really mapping it out from your multiple, from that EBITDA, from that 4-wall EBITDA is so important. If you're not speaking that language to an investor, it's going to be tough to raise money, especially nowadays with the tools available, not only for us as the operators or business owners or franchise owners, but the investor has them too. And they're using those same tools to do the due diligence on your business for sure. It's happening already.
Yeah, there's definitely no way to fudge the equation. And at the end of the
Right.
day, no one benefits if anyone's playing that game regardless. But one of the things that is interesting, I mean, you speak to it there. There's no hiding. Obviously, the goal is to have a successful exit for all parties involved.
Right.
And when it comes to that, the thing that's been so interesting over the last year and a half, I mean, I've had guest after guest. Mark Mastroff even came on here earlier this year
Love
saying
that.
the excitement that is in the space right now and the
Yeah.
appetite for investment in the space, which is a tremendous shift to what we experienced a couple of years ago where we saw a lot, but now there's mergers, consolidations happening left and right. So talk to me about what you've been seeing on the ground for investor appetite in the wellness and fitness space and what investors are looking for right now in the sector in particular.
Yeah, you're right. And Mark Mastroff hit on it. I saw that episode. He's absolutely spot on. And of course, he's always ahead of the game. But we're seeing a lot of chatter around reoccurring revenue. And that's not only from the VC side, but we're seeing a lot of action. We chatted about this in the private equity side, family office, different angel investors. Everyone's wanting to get in here. It's not just an AI game, although that really helps that tech space. But the wellness space, this social wellness, this experience, whether it be hospitality or lifestyle, longevity is definitely the chatter right now. But it's really important. I think people, even with some of the uncertainty in the economy, and it continues to go back and forth, I think people still want to be smart with their money, right? It's not just loosey-goosey spend on whatever we want and go invest because it's hot. There's still a lot of due diligence happening. I like that. It's disciplined investing. And so I think this blend of hospitality, health, you're talking about consolidation or even an extension. I'm seeing a lot in the hospitality space extending and reaching out to subject matter experts in the wellness space. I see a lot of private equity looking for franchise roll-ups. I mean, I think I have a call about that just about every day. So that's exciting, but definitely the due diligence on that unit economics, your customer or member lifetime value, acquisition cost. Those are really, really important. And then just understanding your ancillary too. It's not just about your member dues, right? But it's also about what are the ancillary dollars? And then don't forget this, because it's not just about revenue. What is the vertical profit margin on that, right? For each one of those. That's really, really important right now.
Now, when it comes to growth opportunities, you touch it there, all the conversations, longevity, social wellness. It actually was interesting. Before our conversation today, I've been a member of a gym that opened up here in Vancouver for maybe about 2 years ago. And I just noticed that they changed their signage underneath. So they have their gym name, but now it says Social and Wellness Club, which is accurate, but they're kind of leaning into all the other elements that are opening up around them that are now offering these experiences.
Yeah.
And I know this is what Alchemize House is all about, playing in this field. So tell me a little bit about exactly what they were doing in Sayulita, and maybe just before we dive into the granular questions around it, I want to understand their concept a little bit and
Yeah.
why they saw growth opportunity in it, because it sounds like they have, yes, getting into California, but a broader expansion plan is afoot.
Yeah. So to give you an idea, and just to paint the picture people will probably relate with, as you think about Othership or Remedy Place or even a Soho House, it's a combination of all of those. And so you're seeing Alchemize House come out differentiating itself as a hybrid social wellness, fitness, recovery, and networking experience. And so not only do they have a location out in Sayulita, Mexico, right, and doing not only the hybrid approach, but this wellness retreat experience, they also have done pop-ups at the Surf Lodge and One Hotel and some others, and just all throughout the country. And what we're seeing is there's this thirst and want for this experience, not just in the fitness space, but in the social space, where it's alcohol free, where I can still dance, I can still listen to music, I can still get my IV, I can still get my recovery time, I can still get my, whatever aspects you love on the longevity menu. I still want a nutritious meal. I still want to get my workout in and move. And so it's a combination of all of these things. And so we're really excited about the sites that we've picked out in the States, because it offers different floors and different experiences from what you're looking to do for your wellness, and not just physically, but spiritually as well as mental as well. So we really like what we're solving for there, because what we see as a pain point is this kind of this fragmented experience, or you need to have 8 different type of brands or memberships, and we want to bake it all into one and make it ultra affordable too.
Well, and so leapfrogging off of that, because this category is not new, but it's definitely massively growing. And I think on
Right.
top of that, just evolving in real time to what is encompassed under that umbrella. And to your point, I mean, I live in Vancouver, West Coast cities. I feel like we're so wellness driven already.
Right.
I am seeing so many things pop up on Eventbrite, being targeted on social media, that are all around these alcohol-free experiences. It's quite wonderful to see even people in my friend groups where the shift is happening, not because there's any issue there, but because there's a better way that makes you feel good. But
Right.
this is subjective. But when it comes to the education of investors and
Mm.
consumers in this space, where do you think we are on the needle? Because as I'm saying here, we're seeing it a lot more, but what's the growth space of people kind of stepping into this?
It's so funny because we actually saw this, a couple years ago or so with Equinox and Lifetime. And if you remember, they went on a very massive campaign to remove the fitness name off, because they saw that there was a much bigger marketplace for hospitality, wellness, and lifestyle. And so I think the investor side of things is starting to understand what things like Lifetime and Alchemize and Equinox and Othership are doing. It's the member base, the community members, that we're actually having to educate a little bit more, because we're so accustomed to, well, my gym membership is my fitness membership, right? And then I go get a massage over here, or I go get a IV over here, not understanding that, wait, no, this is an all-in-one type of platform. And so I think that's important, not only from a pricing strategy, but from a marketing campaign, and just educating the community base on all the offerings. And I think that's really important. And then the other thing is making sure that you're executing indoors what this is all about, right? So there is the anchor side of things, and you mentioned it earlier. This moving into or evolving into this wellness, longevity, or lifestyle is actually bringing in a ton of other business. So a lot of commercial real estate loves this industry as well, because we bring everyone else from restaurants to activities and things like that, not only for adults, but for kiddos. But the community base is really starting to get this is, whoa, this is a one-stop shop. And you asked me earlier about what Alchemize is also looking to do that would differentiate. And it's really using technology and AI through their Alchemize House app, and actually creating an entire lifestyle ecosystem. So not only within the four walls, but when you're at home opening up the fridge or getting into your bed or deciding to go do something outdoors, you have an Alchemize life, you have the Alchemize House app. And I think there is a race though with that. I think we're all looking who's going to be the one or the ones that become the glue to this fragmented, very exciting, but fragmented ecosystem right now in the wellness and lifestyle space.
On the topic of optimism, that's how you want to feel when you're going into a seed round and raising capital. And you did start off the conversation sharing that you decided to make this public versus doing it behind closed doors. So talk to me a little bit about the rise in transparency in fundraising.
Yeah.
Why go that route? Why you personally decided as a team to make that decision?
Yeah, we wanted it to be different. This is not only a great space to be in, it clearly is hot. There's a lot of investment coming through, but I still think there needs to be more brands like Alchemize House that come out, right? And actually let people know, hey, we're here. We've done it. We've done it in Mexico. We want to do it in the States. And we have a proof of concept with an amazing co-founder team. I was a follower and very excited about their location in Mexico, and obviously the site selected out in Los Angeles, and the plans for the future over the next 5 to 10 years. And so I really thought too, just being in the space, everyone needs to know about it. And so it comes with a lot of pros and cons, right? Going public, even on something like LinkedIn, it drives definitely a lot of buzz. And we've had a lot of conversations with those that are interested from an investment point of view. So that's really exciting. We're able to reinforce our proof of concept and also show just the discipline. So what I love about our co-founders, Dana and Ray, very disciplined approach to de-risk the investment for those that are interested. And I know we mentioned it earlier around capital raising, but having milestone tranches to the injection of funds is always a great idea. I've always done it that way, where you have a timeline on when we tap into the funds versus here's a $4 million check, figure it out, use of funds, I hope it works out. I like to be very detailed month by month or within the month too. So that was exciting. Now there are some, like anything, any cons from when you do it publicly. Just expect that potentially there can be quite a bit of public scrutiny as well, right? And I take it as feedback. We take it as feedback, and so far so good. It's been nothing but great, and if not constructive feedback. And so we appreciate that. And the way we do it, and there's been a lot of people that have been reaching out around, well, how do you go raise capital? Because I think sometimes it's an intimidating thing, right? Especially if you've never done it before. Yeah. So yes, we're all aware of the pitch deck process, and that's always fun. And everyone always has 1,000 opinions, right? But then it's being really organized and detailed with your data room, right? So we use something called DocSend. It is amazing, right? From all the different term sheets and template agreements that we have in there, to our financial model, to all of the different files, forms, pitch deck, references, meaning member references, marketing, partnerships. You have it all in there lined up for your investment group. And then you get to have some great data analytics to see, what are some of the Q&As that are occurring? How long were they spending on your data, in your data room, on your pitch deck? And so there's a lot of great ways to not only set this up, including, and I missed it, your CRM system. And so how is your outreach approach, and who are you reaching out to? I think sometimes I hear, well, we're going to do this wide net and just fire off to anyone and everyone. And sometimes you got to think about, especially as co-founders or business owners, who do you want to work with? Because when someone's injecting their money, it's their money. They're going to be involved more often than not, right? You rarely get that silent investor that says, I'm hands off, here's the money. You're going to have someone that wants to see a return, and they're going to want to be within the business with you. And so I always say, and I always share this with founders, is who do you want to partner up with? That's really important. And so those are the people we want to reach out to.
And you kind of speak to it there, and it doesn't necessarily need to be for this business case, but two things. There's a lot of people that are wanting to step in to raise capital to grow their business, and it can be very intimidating if they have not done this before. So, with that
Mhm.
being said, what would be some of the scrutiny or common pieces of constructive feedback that you've experienced taking people through this process? I mean, you emphasized from the beginning about being prepared and all the rest of it, but what are some of the common things or pitfalls that you see founders get tangled up in sometimes in this process?
Yeah, that's really good. When it really gets deep into it, right? And just making sure that your entire financial model is synced up and speaking to each other, right? I've been there, and I know those that are used to this and spend time on the financial side. One of the worst things that can happen to you is your model breaks. And so just making sure that everything is kosher there, and you've gone through that financial model over and over a dozen to more than a double dozen times, right? You need to make sure that you not only know your business, but what you're sharing is actually mathematically sound. And for us in this space, right, from your member acquisition to your churn or retention is so important, because that's typically 80-90% of the revenue coming in. Your ancillary, and if you're looking to spend time in personal training or food, right, F&B or restaurant, understanding cost of goods sold, or if you're in the retail space and you're looking to do apparel or supplements, it's not just the revenue side. You have to get your supply chain, your cost of goods sold down and that data, and do a lot of homework there, because investors will come in, especially if they have that experience in those spaces, and they're gonna see what is going on in each one of those cells. I do it too. I go through every single cell to make sure that it's sound. Because again, we're in this case, right, with Alchemize, we're raising 4 mil plus, and that's someone's money, and we want to make sure that we're responsible with it, and they too want to make sure that we're disciplined, and they're doing the right due diligence as well. And so I would say the financial model is a big thing, and then just making sure that a roadmap, right, whether it be your digital roadmap, your tech stack, is well laid out, not only from a use of funds, but when is it rolling out? How are you rolling out? A lot of people miss that headcount road mapping. So by what point are you going to bring in, that VP of sales or that VP of marketing or director or what have you? And so just making sure those are ironed out, and making sure that you have the math in there too, right? What does this cost the business as well? And so I've been there, by the way. I've made all of these mistakes and I've learned along the way, and I'm sure there's going to be more. So I'll be ready for it though.
Well, and that's the beauty of the process and the beauty of idea sharing, right? Is that we can learn from each other. If somebody's hit a pitfall, they can perhaps help you avoid that one for yourself in the future. You mentioned in the conversation, I know not only are you somebody that helps people on the financial side, but you are tied to this industry as an operator yourself.
Right.
And this is such an exciting time because we are seeing the definition of what health and wellness is really have this beautiful expansion of what
Mhm.
it encompasses. So when you look ahead to the next 5 to 10 years, what excites you most about the future of the fitness industry?
Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of chatter. I'll tell you, even 6 months ago, I was a little unsure to see if our industry could evolve on the tech landscape specific to AI. And then, like everything else that we're seeing, our industry definitely took the bull by the horns there. And I'm so proud of the leadership group as well as all the team members that, I'm sure tested and piloted. So I see a lot of that. There's an introduction of this tech. We're evolving to be more efficient and effective. And so I think over the next 5 years, we'll see a lot of that, a lot of AI in the DNA of our fitness experience, our wellness experiences. And what comes with that is a lot of data. And I'm really happy about that, just as a user, nerd myself, from blood labs to peptides to GLPs. I love to see the data and results. I think we're all in this for that reason. Yes, there's the monetary reason, but really in our deepest heart of hearts, we want to change lives. And as the member, right, we want to see results too. And so the more data we have to directionally tell us what to go eat, what to do for our workouts, for our movement, how to improve our mental or spiritual wellness, I think the better. And so I'm really excited about that, is this introduction or reintroduction in definitely a high importance on big data. And so there's a lot going on there I'm really excited about.
Yeah, it's going to completely transform the name of the game. It already is. And to your point, even in 6 months, to see how much has evolved. When you look ahead to the next 5 to 10 years, I think we can put our best crystal ball out there, but even we don't know exactly
Right.
what the landscape's going to look like. Well, Albert, you shared so much fabulous information throughout the conversation here. Also, I'm so curious, who's your pup?
So you probably saw
I'm
her
a
on
huge dog
LinkedIn.
person.
So she's barking at me because she always tries to bulldoze, and I wish I could
She's
show you.
also like, I didn't get introduced,
She didn't
Albert.
get
Get it together.
introduced. She's my black lab Sadie. I posted it here. You can hear her pounding. I
Oh.
posted her on LinkedIn because I said, because I have the ValiSights podcast, and people don't really realize sometimes what's going on around when I barricaded my entire office door so she can't come in. It's too funny, but she's so sweet. She always wants to hang out.
Well, I'll give you fair feedback, Albert. When you come join me on ATFW again, I have one request, and that is that you have your co-host.
I love it. I
She needs to
will.
be in there. I'm a huge
Yes.
dog lover, so that is
Oh, I
always
love it.
welcomed here. But more importantly, you've shared excellent information throughout this, and we always like to keep it snackable here in the B2B space. So we're going to close the conversation here, but for people that want to learn more about what you're doing or about Alchemize House, where can we send them to?
Yeah, a couple of different areas. First, please go check out the interview with Rave Reed on the ValiSights podcast. You can find that on YouTube or Spotify. That gives you a great idea, not only about Rave and Dana, the co-founders, but also about what they have done and what they're doing at Alchemize House. You have their website as well, alchemizehouse.com, and that's with a Z, alchemizehouse.com. And then you could always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active like you, Chrissy. So yeah, reach out to me and we could always chat. Just shoot me a DM or shoot me an email.
Brilliant. And I'll make sure all those details are in the show notes as well for those that are just joining us on the audio platforms. Albert, I'm so glad that you reached out, and I really appreciate you sharing your time and insight with me on ATFW.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You've just listened to the All Things Fitness and Wellness podcast, hosted by Chrissy Van. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. We have new podcast episodes weekly featuring industry insiders and influencers. Together, we're on a mission for everyone to live a life fit and well.